In the equity quadrant, let's look at the S&P. Really all four major indices, and I'm including the Russell in that, didn't have much of a move today at all, other than some very early on rallying that we saw after US CPI. That US CPI came in a little bit stronger on the inflation side, but a little bit weaker on the earnings side, which is pretty much a neutral result, except showing that the consumer could potentially still be involved in the economy by pushing prices a little higher. That would kind of take away this consumer weakness that's been talked about a little bit. But we spent most of the day today hovering around the new highs that were reached yesterday in the S&P 500. That record high was not breached during the course of the day, and part of that was because of the impeachment hearings, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, we want to talk about what's coming out after the close of the bell today, which we haven't gotten as I speak to you right now, and that's Cisco's earnings. Most of the S&P 500, a clear 90% of companies, have already reported. We've got an exceptional number of beats on EPS. We've got a below average number of beats on revenue at this point, but the stocks that are beating on EPS and revenue are expanding their price. They're rising in price more so than they would on average. Normally you get about a 2.3% increase on good earnings, getting about a 3.8% in aggregate right now on good earnings. So that shows you that people want to be in stocks that look like their multiple might be expanding prior to a good earnings number. So that's going through, and we're going to see if Cisco, which is an S&P component, continues to perform that way. If they have good earnings, it's likely to exceed what the options market might say is the potential move for Cisco prior to those earnings coming out. So it's one of the few big names left to report with a 90% report level, reporting actual earnings at this point. I mentioned the impeachment hearings. They went on all day today. They started out with some contention between the two parties that you might expect, but there was no real effect on the equity markets. The only real effect that we got from the impeachment hearing is a volume drain. There was very little volume while the impeachment hearings were live. It seems like people just kind of want to wait and see how this plays out. It hasn't affected the market in a big way since it's been announced that there was an impeachment inquiry and that there were going to be public hearings. The actual public hearings today, again, didn't really slow the market down in any way except for maybe pulling out a little bit of volume, as traders and investors might be a little cautious that there could be some sort of bombshell. So far hasn't happened. Equities remain slightly stronger on the day, with the S&P finishing slightly higher than the open.